y'all? It's yours truly, Savon the Dawn, and we just speaking our minds to transform lives, and we come to you straight out of the AUC in the Atlanta area, and I'm here with my co-host.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Tatiana, aka The Quiet Storm, and you've just tuned into Transparent, where we keep it real, raw, radical, and always transparent. Hey, what's up, everybody? So, welcome again to Transparent. And we thought, since the name of the show is Transparent, it's only appropriate that we have a transparent moment with all of our listeners where we just share something random from our day that made us upset, made us laugh, pissed us off, but always something that our listeners can relate to. So, Savon, you want to kick us off with your transparent moment?
Yeah, I can do that. So you know how I've been having these issues with this professor, right?
Yeah.
This two-faced Gemini, shady.
Your favorite sign?
Oh, you playing games? You playing games? Okay. No, but so this woman, of course, she gonna throw shade as usual, but at this point, she's just doing too much. She's doing too goddamn much.
What does she do?
I'm like, okay, well, you want to know what the last night? You want to know what she did today?
Today.
Okay, today. So we supposed to have the project done, right? So we ain't ready to present, right?
For your final.
Yes, for the final.
Okay.
Now this is just what broke the camel's back for me. Now she done changed this so many times. To the point where, it's going to be physically impossible to have this done. Mm-hmm. Like, ma'am, you cannot keep changing. This is not right. This not this. She don't like this. She don't like that. There's no pleasing this woman. It's whatever you do is just not good enough.
Right.
At this point, I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. You want me to step on people's toes. You want me to do this. You want me to do that. When that's not even my job. I am the type of person, you assign me a task, I get the task done, I meet your expectations. I'm not going to go above and beyond for her. I don't go above and beyond for people that have shown me who they are.
I hear you.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you what you asked for, and then I'm going to lay hands off. She doesn't apparently like that. So I'm like, you know what, ma'am? You can have the battle. You can have this battle, because this is an elective. I already took you for a required class twice. So I've already won the war twice. But you can have the battle. I'm not dealing with this. So I had to drop her like a bad habit. And yes, that's what I did. Your turn.
So today I went to Walmart and I had to get some things for my room. And so, I was wearing this fitted dress, because I've started experimenting with wearing fitted clothes and things like that. And typically as you know, I'm very modest, wearing these long ass skirts, but I was wearing this fitted dress today.
Ooh,
had
baby.
My hair done.
Ooh, baby, silky now.
Had my hair done, makeup, my mascara, my lashes. It was just,
You was on 10.
Fleekish. So I was walking into Walmart, and as soon as I got up to the door, of course, Salvation Army is out this time of year collecting their coin. And so the guy was catcalling me. The Salvation Army guy was catcalling me. And I was just like, oh, okay, thank you. That's cute or whatever. So then I walk into the door, and one of the buggy guys starts catcalling me, and he's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And of course I kept walking. But it's just, I don't know, catcalling is so awkward for women. And I don't think men understand that. You're literally yelling the most random comments at us, and we're supposed to just respond oh, hey, daddy. No. So, I don't know, it was just awkward, but I don't think men understand. It's not always flattering when you catcall a woman. It's just really awkward sometimes. So, it happens, but it's always awkward.
So if I was yeah, baby.
Yeah,
come
it would
here,
be
baby. That's not gonna work.
No thanks.
That's not gonna fly.
You are canceled.
You cancel.
You canceled. Moving on. But anyway, so but let's get into the topic for today.
Okay, so the topic of today is trans women who imply or call themselves gay.
Yeah,
And
odd.
yes, it's very odd. And how this topic came about, well, so many times I see that you have trans women, they want to be seen as women, which is great because at the end of the day, that's what they are. Now, I mean, for people that don't understand trans, it's where the sex you were assigned at, or the gender you were assigned at birth, does not align with who you know yourself to be on the inside. And with that, a lot of people confuse gender with sex.
Right.
Gender is biological. Now, what people fail to know is that when we're born, people always want to say, oh, you're born a boy, you're born a girl. You're not born a boy. You're not born a girl. You're assigned a boy. You're assigned the gender of a boy. You're assigned the gender of a girl. You're born a baby. That's what you're born. All that other stuff is social construction. But a lot of people don't want to come to that. But then again, hey, the educational system has failed all of us at the end of the day.
At one time or another, yeah.
At the end of the day, our educational system is not what it should be. So, with that being said, when it comes to trans women, a lot of times when an individual transitions, this is where socialization plays a big factor, because socialization follows you. A lot of times when the body transitions over to what you know yourself to be, and it is reflecting what you know yourself to be, whether that is male or whether that is female, man, woman, however you want to categorize that. Sometimes the mind of the previous socialization does not switch over with that. Or some people forget that, A, I am being socialized as a man now, or A, I'm being socialized as a woman now. But you're still operating in that previous socialization of man or woman, gay or straight. And with that, sometimes you can't, well, I'm not going to say you can't, but sometimes you don't transfer that mind frame over. So now you're trying to bring quote unquote gay culture into heteronormative culture. Like, down low in gay culture, it's not the same thing as a trans person being stealth. Sexuality and gender identity and gender period are two separate things. Who you go to bed as, that's gender. You go to bed as a man. You sleep with a woman, that's sexual. That's sexual orientation. Who you sleep with, that's sexual orientation. Who you go to bed as, that's gender identity. That is gender. That is you. So when it comes to I'm not even going to solely put this on trans women, because a lot of times when they transition, you have so many cis people who fail to understand and realize that they have cisgender privilege to the point where they are literally trying to shove in trans people's faces that, oh, you're not a woman, you're not a woman, you're not this, you're not this, you're not this, when you have no right to tell an individual what they are not. That's not your place. That is not your experience. That's not your right. That is specifically cis privilege to be assigned a gender and then to identify with that gender for the rest of your life, and to not have to go through the struggles that trans people go through with just being simply who they are and their truth and all their authenticity. You don't have that right to tell them what they are and what they are not. And trans women so many times, because they either are surrounded by, whether or not the person is homosexual or heterosexual. If they are cisgender, they're gonna put their cis privilege somewhere in the mix. Somewhere in the mix, you're gonna stomp all over this individual and how they should respond to how people respond to them being them, or how they should present themselves, or what they are. And a lot of people can't get over what they perceive is in between that trans woman's legs, what they think is there, when they don't even really know what is there. Just, yes, some trans women have penises, some do not. You do not know unless you physically have sex with that individual. You will not know that. Trans people have the, I would say, the most ambiguous gender, because you don't know what's down there until you know what's down there. And to assume, you make a fool out of yourself. And so, when it comes to this, trans women are women. They are indeed women. And when you try and tell them that they're not, that's just simply not your place. But I feel like I'm repeating myself now.
So, getting back to the key topic for a second, trans women who call themselves gay. It is not one of the biggest issues, I think, that from what I've heard and observed, is one of the biggest issues for the trans community at large is people defining who they are, people putting labels on them. But then what complicates that is when trans people put labels on themselves that seem to contradict who they are. And so with trans women who call themselves gay, it kind of causes people to scratch their heads, because, when people hear the word gay, they think about a gay man, or a man who is engaged sexually with other men. So it's like, in some ways, I could see where trans women might say to another trans woman who calls herself gay, sis, you're not helping the cause right now. Because so many trans women fight to be seen as just that, women. And I think that is where, how you define yourself is how you define yourself, and that should be your right. But at the same time, I think when you look at it on a collective, from a collective standpoint, it does create some gray area, creates some confusion, and a lot of question marks in people's heads when they hear trans women who say that they're gay or describe themselves with what people would consider to be male terminology. So I don't know. I think it's odd, but at the same time, it's maybe not completely my place to say what a trans woman should call herself and what she should not call herself. But I will say this: if you call yourself gay, it does almost automatically, it does in people's minds make them think of a man, or make them so and again, I think when you use terms like gay, it does kind of also perpetuate this stereotype that trans women are chicks with dicks, and as you said, all of them are not chicks with dicks. So I think that label gay for trans women is very problematic, unless she is gay, in which case she'd be a lesbian because she would like women.
Yes.
Her liking men does not make her gay. It actually makes her straight. So, yeah, that's my perspective on that.
Yeah, because what I've noticed is that sometimes, because some trans women surround themselves with cis homosexual men, and because you have cis homosexual men that still categorize these women as gay because of their previous socialization, for some of them, came from gay culture. When you have a man that sleeps with a trans woman, you have people and you have men that automatically associate that man that sleeps with that trans woman as gay when that's not the case at all. Just because a man sleeps with a trans woman does not make him gay. If she looks like a woman, if she's giving you woman and you like women, you're straight. Period. But a lot of times people can't get over what is in between her legs. And even if that is no longer in between her legs, some people can't even get over the fact that that once used to be an individual who was socialized as male. And they can't get over that. For whatever reason, I think it's dumb because like you're not going to see, you don't see that person anymore. That person from that previous socialization, that person is dead. That person is no longer there. Right now, you're getting who they really are, who they couldn't be before.
Well, and you know, some would make the argument that trans women have never really been men, that they've always been women, but maybe they didn't have that realization until later on in life. And the same would go for trans men as well. But I think why gender becomes such a focal point, even in a conversation like this, is because I'm a sociologist, and you know, in sociology you learn that gender is what's called a master status. And a master status is a status that defines and influences every area of your life. So another master status would be race. So I think because it holds such a high status in society, it becomes this huge focal point. Even if it shouldn't be that big of a deal, it is because of the status it carries. But yeah, I think, you know, the things, as far as what I've learned about trans identity, it's so diverse, it's so wide, and there are a lot of different identifications. So, you know, because we're so binary in our thinking, you know, that you have men, you have women, you have straight, you have gay. I think in some ways it does trouble us to hear a trans woman who describes herself as being gay. Because, you know, we think, again, in binary terms, well, that's a term for a man, you know, who likes men.
Or that's a term for someone who likes someone of the same sex.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, you know, but even in that case, if she liked someone of the same sex, I would call her lesbian, not gay.
You're a lesbian.
But that's like our binary thinking. So, you know, in some ways, maybe we need to step back and look at how diverse gender expression is.
It's a spectrum.
Because it offends our minds to hear anything that's outside of our society's norm for gender expression, and describing what our gender is.
And we have to keep in mind that gender is a spectrum, and sexual orientation is also a spectrum.
Yeah, it's all along a continuum, and there's room for everyone.
Yeah.
But it's odd, you know, because I have friends that I've talked to, who have asked me this same question. You know, they're like, well, what do you think? Why would a trans woman refer to herself as gay? You know, why would she do that if she wants people to see her as a woman? Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes the feedback that I have received is that some of them, they struggle with what they have between their legs. And so because they might still have a penis, or because they used to be a man and they're not anymore, for some reason that causes a conflict in their mind, and they're not able to use another term to describe themselves other than gay. So, you know, it could be a conflict in them as well. But yeah, I think by and large, it still strikes people as odd. And honestly, because, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, well, how long would you say that trans has even been on people's radars? And I said, well, that's a good question. And I said, well, maybe since 2007 or 8, when Orange is the New Black came out with Laverne Cox. But she wasn't as big as Caitlyn Jenner. And Caitlyn was even more recent, which I think maybe was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, but we have to keep in mind that Caitlyn is white.
Well, either way, she put trans on the radar on a national scale. So,
did.
I guess you could count kind of, either you could start counting from the time that Laverne's show came out, or you can count from the time of Caitlyn. Either way, it hasn't been more than 10 years that it's really started to hit the radar on a national level.
On mainstream.
Yeah. And I think that because it's so new, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like, it's easy for people to get confused.
Yeah.
It's easy for people to hear things like a trans woman defining herself as gay and be like, wait, what? Because they're still trying to figure out the trans part. And then when you throw in the gay part, it's like, whoa, wait.
Because, I mean,
wait.
At the end of the day, you have people that's trying to figure them out, and then you have them trying to figure themselves out in the midst of all that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people aren't going to... I know for me personally, before I do anything, when I'm figuring myself out, for instance, like if I'm trying something new, or if like I'm doing like a new spirituality, I'm going to research it in its entirety before I even go there.
Right.
Some people don't do that. Some people just, they have an instinct, they have a feeling, they know this is in them, and then they just go. Some people don't research. Some people don't research to like prepare themselves, to equip themselves with the tool and the knowledge that they need to combat the questions or the confusion that people may have about their own existence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. So it's an interesting topic. But I think, one of the most recent times I heard about this was with the whole Dwight Howard thing that happened this week, where, he was trending, and still is, all over social media, because allegedly, we'll say, he had a ex-girlfriend who was a trans woman, and series of events, she ends up airing out their relationship or previous relationship on social media. And so in the midst of all this crazy, messy story, she, I think, kind of implies that that they were in like a gay relationship.
Yeah, especially with her question on, have you told your family you like trans and men? I'm like, why does that have to be in the same question together?
Like, why is that in the same sentence?
Together.
Yeah.
It's like implying that in order to like trans, you must also like men.
And she also, I guess she was trying to make a dig at him, and she was like, well, he says this about me, but he's a 6'7" something bottom. I'm like, sis, really? Like, so it was almost like she was using gay terminology, the whole top, bottom, this, that. And, so I guess that's the most recent thing I've seen where a trans woman kind of alludes to that she identifies as gay or something like that.
Or she identifies as a woman, but yet she's contradicting herself by using gay terminology and trying to allude that this man is gay because he was with her.
Right. And that's very problematic.
That is very problematic, because then it's like when you have trans women who do really see themselves as women and they're very consistent in that, and trans women want to be with men or this, that, and the third. When a man is attracted to you, sometimes it's not safe, because you're putting not only his image in jeopardy,
right,
but you're trying to make it seem like and portray him as a sexual orientation that he is not. Mm-hmm. And if a man is straight, then the man is straight, and if he likes you, then he likes you. Just leave it at that. Don't try and do all this extraness and try and make it seem like he's gay for being with you, just because you're trying to be on this revenge tip, and when in actuality you're actually insulting yourself,
right,
and you're attacking your own womanhood at the same time when you're doing that.
Yes,
and
it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and it actually puts in question of whether or not people should actually take you seriously, and whether or not you take your own womanhood seriously.
I guess, looking at this same story with Dwight Howard, what also struck me is when I was searching the hashtag and seeing all the criticism and just, rude comments and memes that people were making about Dwight Howard and this alleged relationship that he had with this woman, which I forget her name, or else I would say it. But what struck me is that we are in 2018, and this is still blowing people's minds. Like the fact that you even have trans people, the fact that there are straight cis men that would like a trans woman, it still blows people's minds. I'm like, you all, we're in 2018. Why are you still so shocked?
My thing is like when people being shocked at that, it just makes me think like you're really shocked that a man is interested in a woman.
Nothing new.
Nothing new.
For millennia.
For men to be attracted
have liked women.
So I mean, I like, just because trans women are a different breed of women, just like black women are a different breed of women, just like Asian women are a different breed of women, lesbians are a different breed of women. You're gonna have different breeds of women. Men liking trans women is no different. Men like women. Trans women are women. Period. If you don't like that breed of women, that's fine. Trans women may not like you. So, I mean...
breed almost makes us sound like a dog. But maybe types of women.
Types of women.
But, I don't know. I wonder, I guess, looking at all the negativity that... and don't get me wrong. I want to interject this real quick. Dwight Howard is problematic in his own way. Because it seems as though from the recording that this young lady shared that he wanted to keep his dirty little secret. So he's problematic in his own way. But, it makes me wonder, how long are we going to have this where people are not accepting of trans people? Is it going to be 20 years? It's going to be 30 years? Like, how long are people going to trip over this?
My question is if he's trying to keep her as his dirty little secret, then I'm not saying that I'm not trying to like combat this, but I'm trying to figure out something. Why is he saying that he's never he's never kept it a secret that he likes trans women?
Well, remember that video was doctored.
Okay.
So he in the actual recording, he said to her, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not going to jeopardize my career, the people that I love, the people that I'm responsible to. I'm not going to jeopardize that, essentially, for this relationship. And unfortunately, kind of going into a different topic, I guess now, that is what I have seen if you do have a man who wants to be with a trans woman, she always has to kind of be his secret.
Like my thing is, like, if a man wants to be with a woman, he shouldn't have to feel like he's jeopardizing it.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I agree.
If you're gonna be with somebody, then be with somebody. If you feel like you're gonna be jeopardizing something by being with this individual, then why are you with this individual? And more importantly, why is this individual with you?
Exactly. Because my question to, Mr.
I'm sorry. No woman should have to, trans or cis, no woman should have to play the role of being a man's dirty little secret.
No, never. And my question to him would be, okay, so you're making sacrifices. Do you not think she's making sacrifices? You're not the only one that stands to lose something here. And I think it becomes such a one-sided, selfish conversation. Well, it's not really even a conversation. It's like a lecture. Because he's essentially saying, I'm not jeopardizing my job, my family, my life. I'm like, where is she in all of this?
My thing is like, I personally felt like she is jeopardizing more by being with him.
Probably so.
Especially since he is a cis black male. And cis black males are the primary category of people who target black trans women and are the quote unquote predators in the result of a trans woman's death. Yes?
I would say so.
So, with that being said, I would say she has more in jeopardy by being with you, sir, than you do have being with her. Because the average life, and this is, I'm not trying to compare statistics, But the average life expectancy for a black trans woman is 31.
35.
35. And the average life expectancy for a cis black woman is 81. Or somewhere in that range. The point is that trans women have more on the line than what people would assume, especially dealing with someone who is cisgendered.
Yeah, I think there's a much higher risk factor there because if you're not, from what I have read and what I understand about, what trans women experience, if you are not playing the role of the sexual fantasy, if you are not playing the role of this man's dirty little secret,
This fetish.
then you are in danger because a lot of these men don't see you as real. So they're not going to treat you with the respect that something real, and I'm using air quotes, deserves. And that's the problem. I think, in all of this, men that want to be with trans women, they need to settle in their minds that this is a real woman and she deserves real respect. Not some half-assed commitment, not some half-assed respect, and certainly not brutality and murder. But I think until society really as a whole can settle in their minds that trans women are real women, then they are going to continue to be in jeopardy. And I think also adding to that, I think until even trans women start to see themselves as real women, they might continue to define themselves with terms that are somewhat male in nature, like gay or things like that. So, yeah.
And I would just like to add to this ending is that I honestly, just looking at all this, I'm seeing that it really just, when it comes to cis black men, it really just stems back to like going into the ancestral memory and going back to slavery and how homosexuality was used against our people to traumatize our people and to humiliate our people. And that is why a lot of our people dislike it so much, because there's a trauma associated with it that was used against us. And that's something that we have yet to heal from, along with many other things.
And also, I encourage people to really read and study about Black history and Black African histories, because you will find that there is a long history of trans people, not only in Africa, Black Africa, but also in African American history. And I think so many people believe that this is a new thing. I'm like, honey, this is not new.
It's not new
at all. This has been around for centuries.
What it's called may have changed.
Yes.
But the existence in itself has forever been here.
Yes, absolutely. And I think people, need to learn how to pick up a book and read so that they, learn these things and they're not speaking out of ignorance. And then too, it serves, since we started off talking about trans women, particularly Black trans women, it serves Black trans women to know their history, so that they don't think.
What you think about the situation in itself with this whole situation with, what was her name?
I didn't know her name. But you know what? I will put her name in the comments so you can follow the hashtag. How about that?
And so, yeah. Y'all have a blessed night.
Yes. Good night, everyone. Smooches.
And be easy.